Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Elves, the Wood Elves in fact, up against the Skaven. You can see there's already some Vanguard shenanigans going on, so let's get straight to the army compositions. I've got two Sisters of Thorn, one of which is tangled up in a couple of gutter runners here. We've also got the Regiment of Renown Wild Riders over here, the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. Let's see, Orion going to be leading the way for the Wood Elves here. He's, of course, got his anti-large, armor-piercing, not the best combat stats, but we've cut all of his abilities for the two items here. He does indeed have the Cloak of Isha and the Horn of the Wild Hunt. Also got a Spell Singer, Lore of Life for infantry, as solo Dryad flanked by two sword dancers. We've also got the Regiment of Renown Eternal Guards, the Winterheart Guards, Unbreakable, and the Wardens of Kithrel, the Regiment of Renown Wildwood Rangers with their spears and shields. That's pretty much it for my build. For my opponent, he's got two said gutter runners, a couple of rat ogres over here, and it looks like three more over on the other flank there. He's also got a Hell Pit Abomination ranked up to rank 9. Grayseer, Lore of Ruin. We've got a front line of Skaven slaves with a back line of clan rats. So let's see how things go. You can see right off the bat, Wild Hunters of Kurnos going to be coming straight in on these gutter runners here. We don't really mind charging through Skaven slaves as well. I mean, they're really not going to be able to do much against these wild riders here. And man, are these like guys like greenskins or something? I think they actually do have green skin. But anyway, you can see the Sisters of Thorn, though, suffering a little bit here, able to get a little bit of damage done on the gutter runners, but at the same time taking quite a bit of damage and getting bogged down pretty badly. I also did forget I do have these Hawkeyes of Jakira here, going to be very important, especially with the Discourage that they have. Can help combine that with Orion's Terror to rout units off quite effectively, especially with the low leadership of the Skaven. But you can see Horn of the Wild Hunt being popped, giving these guys more charge bonus. These Wild Hunters of Kurnos, in fact, up to 89 charge bonus. Just going to absolutely massacre these rats in here. So, yeah, Wild Hunt is fully in gear. Unfortunately, the Sisters of Thorn not faring quite as well, although they are able to rack up some decent kills, 26 kills, nothing amazing. But Orion also going to be pulling back here. You can see the Rat Ogres are chasing these Hawkeyes of Jakira. We're going to drop that smoke bomb to slow them down so that we can get away, and then bring my infantry force down to screen a bit. Orion, of course, with his anti-large, will be quite good at dealing with these Rat Ogres as well. So he's going to run in here, spear out, and hopefully start to spear some of these guys. Come on, there we go. Got him right in the face. Anyway, other Wild Riders, these Wild Hunters here, are going to be pulling back to the main infantry line, and now these Rat Ogres that had been chasing my Hawkeyes are going to get swamped by Elf infantry here. The Wild Rangers, of course, going to do very well in cutting down these Rat Ogres, no problem. And even the Sword Dancers, although they're not really meant for this, will do quite well here. You can see Dryads also going to be pushing forward. I'm pretty confident that I can win this infantry fight without too much issue. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes are going to be focusing on this very expensive Hell Pit, especially with its chevrons there. Regrowth going down on the Wild Hunters just to keep them nice and in service here, and then we're going to be going after some more of these weaker Skaven infantry just to try and clear them out. Wild Hunters will do a very good job of that, but yeah. You can see a very nice cast of the dreaded 13th spell actually blowing up my infantry line pretty effectively here, doing a ton of damage to the War Dancers and the Winterheart Guard. Unfortunately, other than that, not really a lot of these units are doing damage, but the summoned Storm Vermin are going to get in here and be able to get a rear attack penalty. Unfortunately, most of the units from the other side getting routed off as Orion comes through and drops a big old terror bomb that all the Skaven just want to run away from. So, yeah, Orion, especially with his anti-large, is going to be very good at dealing with the Rat Ogres. Meanwhile, the Hell Pit Abomination getting very low on HP, and the War Dancers just having an absolute ball here with the Wild Hunters of Kurnos getting involved as well. It is just an absolute party for these for these Wood Elves here. You know, with the Wild Hunt, they're out for some blood and, you know, fulfilling all their weird forest elf rituals. I'm not really sure, but anyway. At this point, balance power has tipped pretty decisively in my favor. Quite a few of the Skaven units are going to try and pull back, but you can see the Discourage here, due to the fact that Rat Ogres don't have that good of leadership to begin with. The Discourage from those Hawkeyes of Jakira are going to do a good job in routing them off, and of course in keeping this Hell Pit Abomination routed off. Not to mention the missile damage, especially with a big target like the Hell Pit, should be enough to be able to actually take him down here. can see maybe 1 or 2 more volleys. Yep, there he goes. But very nice Warp Lightning coming down from my opponent. A little bit mistimed there, but he has been dropping some pretty effective ones throughout the game. But at this point, a lot of his forces have been pushed out. You can see these Sword Dancers, the Winterheart Guards, and some other units here, the Dryads, just chasing out. Dryads not really meant to fight Rat Ogres, but they have pretty good DPS, and Rat Ogres have low armor and melee defense, so they should do okay, especially with a nice rear charge there, as those Rat Ogres had come back from rout. But speaking of Rat Ogres here, Orion gonna stand here and go toe-to-toe with a few, just spearing them right in the face with this big old spear here. And yeah, he'll do quite a bit of damage in terms of taking on these Rat Ogres here. Fells one there, goes ahead and summons another spear. And yeah, at this point the Hawkeyes are sniping from across the map here, trying to take out that Grace here. It's kind of the last pocket of resistance for my opponent. You can see these Wild Hunters of Kurnos seeing off some Rat Ogres have actually got up just about to their healing cap, so a lot of the healing from the Spellsinger being dumped into them, of course, since they are a very high value unit, but they've definitely been able to pay out. Nice Warp Lightning coming down from my opponent, going to be perhaps, maybe, oh, there it is, destroying my frame rate and a few of those War Dancers there, but unfortunately not going to be enough to save the ratty boys here. So yeah, you can see a nice throw there, actually fells one from Orion, who we've switched him to the ranged mode so he can throw his spears here. They will do quite a bit of damage against especially like large armored targets. They don't necessarily have a true anti-large bonus like his melee attacks do, but definitely going to be a victory for the Wood Elves here. Yeah, you can see 400 total missile damage and about 500 weapon strength with the bonus versus large. So yeah, Orion being the true king of the Wild Hunt there, bringing the Wild Hunt to the Skaven, and they're definitely feeling it. 336 kills on those Wild Hunters of Kurnos. Again, a lot of the healing being dumped into them, but they were definitely able to clean up a lot of the chaff of the Skaven here, and my opponent definitely brought a very chaff-centric list, which can work pretty well against the Wood Elves. You know, the Swarm thing is pretty decent. I do think that Rat Ogres, however, are a little bit risky. A few of them are a good option to help slow down the mobile units of the Wood Elves. Unfortunately, my opponent really didn't use them to go after my Wild Hunters here. He was more so focused on going after the Hawkeyes, and then we were kind of able to get a nice ambush there. Both the War Dancers, as expected, cleaning up quite a few kills, and the Dryads also doing quite well there. And then the two Spear-type units helping to fend off the Rat Ogres, and the Hell Pit Abomination, of course. I'm not a big fan of the Hell Pit Abomination at all in this matchup. Just the missile units for the Wood Elves, and it's such a big hitbox. It's like one of the biggest hitboxes in the game. Means that it's a super risky investment, especially with rank 9. We can go ahead and just see how much that costs here briefly. I'm just curious, but yeah, definitely a rough investment there. I think you probably need to go with a little bit more range. I mean, obviously that map didn't really wasn't really well suited to direct line of fire artillery like Warp Lightning cannons, for example, which can be pretty effective against the Wood Elves. But I think if you were to cut some of those Rat Ogres and get a more maybe a bit more elite infantry focus, I would say, rather than just the clan rats. But anyway, I'm just out of curiosity here. The Hell Pit Abomination ranked up to rank 9. It's got to be, yeah, like 2,300, almost 2,400, so yeah, definitely want to cut that guy. The Greyseer Lore of Ruin, actually not a terrible idea, although again, the armor-piercing missiles can be tough to protect against, so maybe you want to bring him on foot, or of course, you guys might think it's a little boring, but Lord Skrolk is by far and away the most competitive choice, certainly. I'm not the biggest fan of the Clan Rat summons. I think it's better to just flood the board with Vermintide here. You don't also need Wither. Bless with Filth is okay. You might want to take that if you have the extra points, but Pestilent Breath and Vermintide are going to be the two that you really want to go for here. Rod of Corruption and, of course, Liber Bubonicus. You may also want, just because dragons can potentially be a risk here, I usually like to take at least one engineer with just Howling Warp Gale. And that makes him nice and cheap, and maybe you grab this Warpstone armor as well, so that when he's in melee, he applies that nice drain effect. And for your infantry line, actually Storm Vermin, Sword, and Board are not bad options here. They have a missile block chance, decent melee stats, heavy armor, you know, decent weapon strength as well, and a full 120 unit model. So I actually like Sword and Shield Storm Vermin quite a bit here. If the map allows, Warp Lightning Cannons are a great option. If not, you may want to go with some counter skirmish. Actually, Gutter Runner Slingers may not be a bad idea. They're a little expensive, so maybe you just want to go with a higher volume. But yeah, a couple Rat Ogres, a good idea. Play a little bit more conservatively with them, though, than my opponent did there, and just use them to countercharge your opponent's high mass units. And then Clan Rats, honestly, not a terrible idea. We'll grab a couple Clan Rat Spears, maybe some Clan Rats with shields, just to fill out some extra numbers here. We do have some funds left, so maybe we go with some range units. Let's see, Night Runners can be a decent idea. They give you quite a bit of numbers, so you can kind of counter skirmish in that way. And then maybe with the remaining funds, we go and grab a couple of Gun Runners with poison, and maybe just one more Skaven Slave Slinger, just to give us that much more numbers. Something like this I think might be pretty solid. Gives you a lot of different variety of damage options, lots of models to flood the board with. There's a lot of different ways you can go here. Plague Monks also a pretty decent option in this matchup, although they will lose to War Dancers. They'll do well against most other Wood Elf infantry. They can be a decent option here, although they are a little bit vulnerable to missile fire. You know, you can go with the heavy range like I have here. You could even go with the 360-degree shooting Night Runners if you wanted to go a little bit further on that route, though it can be a bit riskier because of the mobile units of the Wood Elves. But something like this might be pretty solid, where you have the Gutter Runner to apply the poison and the snare nets, and then just a higher volume of fire with the additional Night Runners. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I know the Skaven are in a little bit of a rough place, but I actually think this is one of the matchups that's a bit better for them. If you have a map where you can get Warp Lightning Cannon usage, they're very good against the Wood Elves. Of course, unfortunately, that map didn't really allow for it. I don't really... I'm trying to remember what the name of the map is. Volksgrad, perhaps? Let's see here. Yes, Volksgrad. So, unfortunately, not a really great map for direct line of fire artillery, but if the map allows for it, a very good option against the Wood Elves. If not, maybe something like this could work a little bit better. Let me know your guys' thoughts, though, in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Share with your friends, all that jazz. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.